and record. There we go. All right. First and foremost, Spizz, Joe, thank you again for joining. It's the second time I've talked to you, and man, I've been wanting to get back on the air with you guys for a while, man. I've been seeing a lot of growth coming from you as well, so good shit on that.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, nice, man. Thanks for having us back.
Hey, man, no problem. Different station, though. This place that I'm at now, this is my own station. The other place I was at, it was owned by somebody else, and had some issues there, but you know what? We're here, we're back, and back better than ever, I can say.
Cool. Love to hear it. It's good to hear. Yeah, glad you're still at it.
Of course, man. You guys actually gave me a lot of inspiration when we talked last. You told me to keep on doing what I was doing. I would grow, and I think you were like the first band to actually like full blown like say that, and that helped me a lot with like just the motivational aspect of doing radio and music promotion and everything else. So I really do thank you guys for that as well.
No, that's of course, that's cool, man. Thank you. Glad that we could contribute some way, outside the music, obviously. But yeah, dude, that's cool. Glad you're doing well and everything's working out.
Yep. So let's see, I got 6 questions here. I put them a little out of order, but the first question I do want to ask you guys is, Liminal is your newest release. Tell me about the creation of the song and the inspiration behind making the lyrics.
Coz, you want to take it, or? You start it. I'll give my I'll give my 2 cents after. Okay. So Liminal, it was probably the first song we wrote. It actually is the first song we wrote on the EP. Well, it was originally an EP, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, so Liminal, the first song that we actually wrote after our last EP, so after Chroma. We went to the studio. We were kind of just riffing on ideas and trying to come up with something, in our style, but a little bit more, I don't know what the word, modern probably wouldn't be the word, but to say that there was actually a lot of thought put into it would be like kind of an overstatement, because we kind of just go in and we just wing it, and we just hope whatever we do comes out great. And there's not really much of a story behind the construction of the song. It kind of just came about as we were in the studio, and the lyrics and stuff like that came later. Usually when we write our songs, we'll kind of flesh out the instrumental stuff first, and then we'll kind of lean into the lyrics. Mm-hmm. For me personally, I think the song has to, for me, I want the song to be finished to actually, so I can get like a feel and an understanding of like what I'm feeling when I'm listening to it. And usually that's kind of where I personally I'll lean on lyrics after that's done. So after we came up with the draft of that song, I kind of started writing, and then Koza, I asked Koza for some help, because after me and him usually write some songs together. Sometimes I write them by myself, sometimes he helps me, and then sometimes he'll just come up with the concepts. But we kind of worked in tandem on Liminal, and yeah, it was cool. It was interesting how it all came about. Me and him both kind of have our different interpretations of the song, and I think that's kind of what we strive for when we write music. It's keeping things open and hearing people's opinions on what it's about. And I think we don't like talking about what it's about to like fans and stuff like that, because we want people to kind of we don't want to like sully the meaning of it. So
yeah.
But but I think that's pretty much how I'd explain it. Cody, do you have anything to add? Yeah, no, you basically covered all of it. I think as far as the meaning of the song, if we're just talking about lyrics, it's we, like you said, we have our own interpretations or what we're striving for when we're writing it. But then we, sometimes we'll get specific about certain parts, but overall we want the listener to make something of it for themselves. And it's funny because whenever Spizz and I have spoken about the song to just people in our lives or whatever, it's almost like, I don't want to say complete opposite meaning, but they're very different meanings for both of us, and they apply, just as well to both versions of it for us. So I'm sure there's,
with however many people are listening now, I'm sure people have come up with their own meanings for it as well. So that I think that's something that we want to keep with our process moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, we incentivize people to kind of just listen and take it and run with whatever works for them, and you know, if it's something that's personal to them that they can attach to the song, that's kind of what we strive for. And that's like the best outcome for any song in reality.
Yeah. For me, the meaning I applied to it was more of around the lines of like an insomnia problem. I think it's just because I have an insomnia problem.
Okay.
So that's how I.
Definitely. I can understand. See, I can understand where you can get that. You know, that idea of the song for sure.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's pretty actually. That's close to. You know, Spizz had a concept in mind, and then when we came up with the title of the song and what that was going to be, we kind of took it in another direction too, where my meaning is similar to yours in that sense, where it was tied to like a specific experience of not being able to sleep. And some of the lyrics can, you know, obviously we're talking about, you know, being conscious and stuff, so that is there. But then, you know, Spizz is, we're not going to speak on his meaning, but it could just as easily be applied to his as well. So, you know, it's kind of like it has a literal meaning, but it also, like, the deeper you dig, I think Spizz kind of describes it as like the onion thing, where it's like you peel back layers and there's more to find.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it makes you want to hopefully listen to more and find something new in it every time. So. Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, Liminal's probably now up there with my Advent's favorites. I definitely will say it definitely took me, I think, a listen or two, because Red 13 is just kind of like my top song that I listen to from y'all. But I think Liminal's been taking over quite a bit recently.
Yeah, it's cool. I think you'll find a few. I'm sure with each release, I think every song's strong in their own right, but I think it's going to be a lot of like confusion for people where it's like which song is my favorite, because all these songs are the songs that we've been working on and everything, like they're all kind of different. Like they do different things, and that's what we want to do with every song. We don't want anything to feel redundant.
Mm-hmm.
So like we don't want like another Red 13. You know what I mean? Like we do, but we don't want it. Like we don't want to correlate it with that song. We want we can say we want a song that's, you know, heavy and melodic, but we're not going to be like, you know, we don't want to make another song like that. We want to keep just changing things up. And I think the songs, obviously, we've heard it, we've been writing them, and we've been, you know, working on them. I think there's going to be hopefully there's going to be something for everybody in that sense, what you're talking about, where it's like Red 13 and this one's going up there. It's like, I'm curious to hear when everybody hears like everything, like all the singles that we're doing, the album technically, that there's going to be a very like big gap of people saying they like this song or they like that song. I don't think there's going to be any particular song that stands out. So I think they're all going to, you know, stand out in general. Wishful thinking.
Yeah. My question is Red 13 like your most popular release by like numbers, or
no, actually.
Really?
No, it's I think it's like our, what is it? Cause is it our like? Sorry.
I think it's in the top 5. You know.
I think it's our fifth popular song, but I think we learned a lot with our last EP. So I know me and Koza, we really, you know, put our heads to the I don't know what's the saying? Heads against the sand, or what is the saying? I don't know what it's saying, but
I know what you're saying. I can't think of it either.
Yeah. That makes 3 of us.
We put our heads on it. What we learned, and Red 13 was our first release for our last EP, and I think sometimes we say jokingly, we're like, man, we think that song didn't get its fair shake, because we do really love that song. We love playing it live. You know, we love playing at practice, and we just overall love the song. I think the song is just like very like tight and it's powerful. And I think that, you know, we don't. It's still in the top 5, but for what it is, it's the 5th. Yeah, it's our 5th popular song on Spotify. But yeah, I think our number 1 right now obviously is Liminal, but I think Chroma is our 2nd most popular song. So
Yeah.
Never game over, had a minute for the sun or whatever they say at the end of last year. That kind of took off in a way that we didn't really expect. Like, we thought it was a good song, but people really grabbed on to different parts of it, and the numbers kept going up, and we were like, all right, we didn't really expect this, but you never know what people are going to find in some of these. I think that's one of the cool things too, when we ask people what do you like, not to toot our own horn or anything, but it's like, what's your favorite song? And we hear a lot of different answers. So
yeah,
it's like, you're like, oh, of course Red 13 would be your most popular, right? And we're like, not really, but you talk about how much you love it, and then somebody else, we know somebody's favorite song is Negative Space, and to be honest, we've never heard that in our lives before you said it. So it's like, you don't really know what people are gonna kind of gravitate towards and find something in. So if we could just keep doing that and it's cool too, because we say, we will obviously look at our numbers and try to look at growth and how can we reach more people and stuff. And there's a pretty even split across all of our songs on Spotify at least, so it's not like we have a song with like 10 million streams and then everything else has 1,000. So I think people are finding us, and then they're looking around and checking everything out. So it's definitely a good feeling for us as well.
Yeah. I think the reason why I have like a connection with Red 13, I think it's just because that's how I found you guys. And I don't even know. I was on YouTube. I was just listening to metalcore, and then I heard Red 13 to start playing. I was like, what is this? I'm like, okay, this better be good. And I was like, oh my god, this is really fucking good. Like, I no problem, man. But I wasted no time. I was like, all right, I'm interviewing them. So it was literally, I think the day I heard the song, I was like, I'm gonna interview Advents, and I messaged you guys and went through that. That was a fun interview last time. The only thing that wasn't fun, man, I was half asleep for it. Literally, I had like an hour of sleep going into that. So
I do remember that. I think you had mentioned that towards the end. Yeah.
I didn't sleep great today, but I'm a lot more awake. But let's see what I got here. The next question I have is, do you have any concert bookings for the future?
Okay, because I know your answer.
It's funny you ask that, because you're getting us in the middle of a process that we're trying to put something together. We're many emails deep right now, just trying to get in touch with different people, venues, promoters, other bands. We want to put something together soon. Again, we played in Jersey in January up in Teaneck, and that went over really well. So we never want to do something and have it be, obviously, I don't want to say worse, but less of an impact than what you did the first time. So we want to just up everything, the quality, the appearance, just put as much as we can into it. So to answer your question, nothing official yet, but there is going to be not just one show, but hopefully many more very soon.
Awesome.
Not even just in Jersey, but we're looking at options to get out there more, because we have a lot of listeners that are outside of our area, and they always ask, when are you going to come to this state or this country in some cases. And I think we touched on that last time, but it's like, we don't really know what to say, because we'd love to do it, but it's just we're still a growing band, so we need to allocate our resources appropriately and make sure it's a smart move. But I mean, you could, if you keep tabs on our, Instagram's usually the best place, but website, everywhere, you'll see some stuff soon for sure.
The last time I talked to you guys, I actually mentioned you should get into a MetLife Stadium, and I was saying that as like a little bit of a joke the last time, but I don't think it's a joke, man, anymore, because I'm telling you, every single time you release a song, it's just explosion. And I've been saying this, and this isn't just like a suck up compliment or something, but I've been saying this for months, that you guys are probably going to be up there with like the biggest bands in the metalcore scene, and I'm dead serious about that one.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. Seriously, that's.
I also don't want to like lean into that, but we've heard that before. I don't know how many bands hear that. I'm just like to think, I'm like, yeah, a lot of bands hear that all the time, because like people like your music, obviously they're gonna say that, but I hope you're right. That'd be cool. I think that's what we're aiming for, that's what we want. And we're gonna obviously do our best to get there, but Right now, so far, so good. We're doing well. So it's only up. So as long as we keep going up, I think that's definitely a possibility.
Of course, I genuinely do believe so. So when that day does come,
MetLife 2020, 2026, 2027, MetLife, Advent.
Yeah, MetLife any time in my lifetime would be would be sick.
Mm-hmm.
Give me MetLife 2035. I don't care. As long as we get there.
listen.
Much, yeah.
I'll make a 150% promise. You ever go to MetLife, I will be there for that one. I will 100% buy a ticket. It's about an hour and a half down the road. I'm in northern Jersey, but
Okay.
like towards the Morristown area. But
oh, you're right near me. I'm in was it Passaic County? So.
Passaic, you said?
Yeah, I think we're all.
I'm in Passaic County. Yeah, we're all relatively close. Chappie's at Lily Starks in Bergen County. Yeah, we're all around here. So. So when we play the show, the show that we're putting together, come through. It's not gonna be far from you. I forgot that you lived in North Jersey, so.
Yeah, I actually.
Yeah, if we get something on the books too, hit us up. We'll just get you on the list or whatever, as long as you come out.
Of course, yeah. No problem with that. It's kind of funny though. You mentioned Jersey and all that, because I remember that you guys were in like the New York, New Jersey area, but I interviewed this one girl band back a while ago, and when I was talking to the vocalist of that band, I was asking her, I was like, "Oh, you're from Jersey. What part are you from? What part are you from?" And she's like, "Mount Arlington, because that's where I'm from, and it's a very small town." And she's like, and I just flipped out. I was like, "There's no way I am living in the same town as like the vocalist of this band." They're called Final Girls. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're growing. They're growing nice. They're in the death metal scene. They're pretty cool. That was a nerve-wracking interview, but not a bad interview. I was just nerve-wracked.
Why was it nerve-wracking? If you mind me asking.
I don't know. Just there was 4 girls just staring at me the whole time, and I was like, because it was over.
You probably, yeah. I mean, that's fair.
It was over Zoom too, so I was like, oh. But no, they're cool people though. I appreciate them. But yeah, I mean, anything happens. You said you were in Teen X, so I'm gonna assume this is just an assumption you were at the Debinar Music Hall.
Yeah, that's where we played our first show. Yeah.
So I actually was supposed to not only just go to a show in there, I couldn't make it that day, but they had a metal fest going on earlier in the year, and I was supposed to introduce a couple of the bands, but that never ended up happening since I couldn't physically make it to the show. But I have a plan with I do radio, but I want to do promotions and shows of my own, so maybe one day I'll throw together a festival. This is going to be a lot of money and a lot of time from now, but it's going to probably be at like the Debinar Music Hall. That's where I was looking at myself.
Yeah, Debinar is great. I mean, it's definitely like it was very easy to set everything up there. So I mean, I definitely think that would be the spot for sure.
Yeah, it's a cool little venue. It's big enough, but also intimate enough. You kind of get the best of both worlds there, which is cool, and you don't have to schlep down to Manhattan or something. So that's always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, next question I have for you here is, what would you say is the hardest part of making music?
Social media.
Social
media, I would say. It's social media. Would you probably say the same thing? Because I think that's it.
Are you talking, I guess it depends on the question, is it the process of creating the music, or is it being in a band? Because being in a band,
yes. I think saying in general.
If it's the process of creating, it would obviously be a different answer, but yeah, I'm curious what you mean by that specifically.
I mean, I was thinking a little bit more of like creating music, but either or, I would like to hear the answer to both.
Sorry. Okay, I interpreted that wrong then. I bet. Yeah, I mean, you want me to take Cozy? You got it.
We'll probably have different answers, honestly. So we could.
Yeah, okay, you go first.
Creating music. That's a tough question.
I mean, I'll go first. I'm going to think about it.
I mean, there's layers to it, I guess. Instrumentally and coming up with the structures and stuff, I think it's just trying to be in the realm of what you normally do, but make it interesting and different, like, and just take your influences and kind of wear them on your sleeve and, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think in terms of, like, drum parts and stuff. I want to take inspiration from everything I listen to and kind of mold it and throw it into what we're doing, but also have it sound cohesive and familiar. And then lyrically, it's just a whole other thing. To give you a more simple, straightforward answer, I think lyrics are hard sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
I think you'll also agree with this. That's why I was like, let me go up and say it first, because I think what I'm going to say is going to be like your blank. Yeah. I think settling is the hardest part. I think most musicians, I think settling with something is, especially if you're a person who who overthinks things, and I know me and Coz overthink everything, but that's also helped us. Obviously, it's kind of it's a yin and yang. It's a good and bad, but I think overthinking and settling, you're never sure if there's like a drum part, or if there's a vocal line, or if there's a riff, or if there's something in the production that could be even as simple as being the volume being louder, or like you get in your head. And I think that's probably the most complicated part for me. I don't know, I'm not speaking for Coz, but I think for me it's like I'm always just like, wait a second. And sometimes you don't have control over it, especially if you have producers and mixing engineers and labels. And I'm not saying that we've had issues with them, but it's always just like if there's something later on that you decide, you're like, wait a second, I have an idea for this part, and it's like the song's already like done, like it's been done, it's already mixed, it's mastered. Not saying this has happened for us, but I just think overall, I think when you're creating something, and then you have the final product, and you're like, okay, this is good. You always think, can this be better? Can I make this better?
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. And coming to grips and settling with that, because no matter what, you're always gonna. At least for me, I'm never necessarily satisfied. So I'm always content, because I always think anything can be better. But I've learned over the years to just be like, okay, it's good. Let's just leave it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, that's a good all-encompassing answer. I guess what I was trying to get at. Yeah,
I think that's more like most musicians though. Like that's like I feel like that's every musician will tell you that's like thinking, like accepting it, because you put so much time and effort into something, and then you're like, maybe I should just put a little bit more time and effort into it, just a little bit more, maybe, and then maybe it will be better. And I think that's something that every, not even just musicians, but just artists in general, anyone, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think that is kind of one of those blessing and curse things, though, because, even songs we're working on now, we have like 5-ish songs that are in various stages of demos and production and whatever, but Spizz, he'll just send me voice notes throughout the day, and he's just, his ears have been a lot, very much on the new stuff more than mine lately, and now I'm starting to dig into them more, and he's like, there's this part at 2 minutes and 37 seconds in this song, and I barely know the title of the demo he's talking about. He's like already chewing on like 5 different ideas, and it honestly helps us a great deal, because if he wasn't putting that much time in now, it's like the songs, wouldn't be ultimately what we want them to be, and then, by the time I come back to them, and the other guys are involved too, I don't mean to take it as just the two of us, but a lot of it in the beginning, especially lyrics and stuff, we're talking about ideas and themes and stuff, and he's, so immersed in them for so many months. It's like Liminal just came out, but that song is like old to us at this point, because we're like already kind of 5 steps ahead, and sometimes that's a detriment, because we're just so caught up in things that aren't even on the radar yet, in a lot of ways, and we're always like, what can we do next? What can we do better? And, yeah, I think the hardest part is the settling aspect of that, and being like, all right, it's done. Let's put it down and move on and and this is kind of how it exists as it's going to be. So
Yeah.
really, really long answer, but I think hopefully you got something out of it.
Yeah, no.
Out of that.
And I agree. That can apply to a lot of things. Being self-critical. I'm probably the most self-critical person I know. Just making the banner for the interview today. That took me what could have been this like 10 minutes to make and slap together. I was like, okay, this has to be over here. This has to be over here. And I ended up spending like an hour and a half making it. So I've definitely done that myself. I've tried my hand at trying to create music, but not particularly like release anything. And I'm the same way with that. Like I'll hear something, I'm like, okay, this verse I did was good. It sounds good. And then like the next verse, I'm like, oh, my voice is flat, or I'm not in sync, and then I'm over here screwing around with things. So I think that's just an overall life thing in general. Just in a way, being self-critical is it's a very good thing, but as long as it just doesn't like damage you in any sort of aspect, and instead just builds you up and motivates you to do better at what you do, then shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Yeah, I think it's like a weird trade-off. It's like it's always gonna damage you to some degree, but you know you can't. As a great anime I've watched, the one said, not one said, but there's a basis in the anime, and they're like equivalent exchange. It's like if you take something, you have to give something in return. You can't just be passionate and be artistic without having a setback, or there's always something that has to be like, like there's always a negative with a positive. There's always a positive with a negative. So I don't know. I do think though that it's like you said, it's a good thing.
It was the anime Full Metal Alchemist.
It was, yes.
Yeah, I have a friend tuning in. He just texted me. He's like, "That's from Full Metal Alchemist."
Oh yeah, legend.
But yeah, man. I mean, I don't really. I don't know. I have a thing with like, just going back to like self-critical. This goes out of music. I forgot which one of you I talked to the last time. I asked like what your hobbies were, and somebody said the gym. I assume it was. I don't know who was that.
I mean, it's both. I might have said it, but I mean, me and Koza both frequent the gym, so.
Yeah.
But it would probably me. I'm guessing.
But I'm getting back into running a little bit. I'm trying to work on my cardio. And the other day, I would say about Tuesday, I had a really bad time run. Like, the distance was fine, but, like, the time just, like, really, like, irritated me so much to the point where, like, I had to, like, go out no matter what the case was the next day. Because the next day, it was Wednesday. I was supposed to take a rest, but I just had to go back out and get the time done. So, in that case, like, being very self-critical and just thinking something, like, was bad helped me out. But again, like I said, I could see where some people have issues from it. I've seen some people literally destroy themselves because of just critiquing themselves too hard and things like that.
Yeah,
I think sometimes the negative push is sometimes what you need to get going at any level, but that's not enough to sustain it long term.
Yeah.
You can use that as a momentary, kind of juice to get you moving, but it sounds like, I mean, you're in the same boat. You have the passion and the drive to do this, beyond that. So it's not like you're relying on that, I didn't do good enough last time, or like, I need to get this better. Like, if you beat yourself up through the entire process, that's also not falling into that, equivalency or whatever you want to call it. You need to kind of have the balance within balance. A never-ending. No. It's a never-ending search. And I talk to Spizz about this a lot too, because we have these conversations about what we're doing within this band, but it's like so much of this just is like universal principles for life. So it's like usually if you look at one thing you're doing, it could apply to like 5 other areas in your life at the same time if you really take a look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think if you don't beat yourself up, you're never going to improve. If you don't self-reflect, you're never going to be better. So I think that's not a bad thing. I think saying that you're hard on yourself isn't a bad thing. If you weren't hard on yourself, then you'd be pretty much like, what's the word, stagnant.
Yeah.
You wouldn't improve because you think you settle. That's settling. You know, you don't improve by settling. You improve by telling yourself, oh, well, I can do that better. I can do better. What am I doing? I'm done. I'm an idiot. Why am I doing this? That's also okay if you're not like having your best day. It's like, I'll try again tomorrow. And that's it. As corny as that sounds, it's true.
It also applies. I think I should have used radio as my example because since I run this page, I pay for everything, licensing, all that stuff, and I have other DJs on here. Shout out to them, they're great. But the thing is, what I can definitely say is there in the beginning, especially that was the roughest time because it grew. I feel like this is like another thing I'd like to say. It also kind of like could be relevant to what you guys are saying a little bit, but like since when I started off the page, right, it like flew right to the top and then it kind of just dropped and then plateaued, and throughout that area of my time, that's when I was like just thinking of so many different things to like get people in and to get new DJs on as well and to rebrand and do all the stuff I had to do. And I still go through that like every day. I would say I'm more passionate about radio than running by a mile and a half. So I think that's definitely something every single day that I'm never putting down. And I'm always thinking to myself, like, okay, like today was a very good day for radio, but then will this happen tomorrow? If not, like, what am I supposed to do? You know, something like that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you're like weighing you're kind of like looking for, I guess, that positive, thing in your day. I mean, if you don't have a positive day with the radio, find something else to make the day positive, I guess. I don't know. So I have bad days at work or whatever, bad days, and I'll go to the gym and I'll come home and I'm like, all right, well, I went to the gym. I said that's fine, I guess, and then I'll just relax for the day. It's fine. Just gonna find it. It's just, I mean, it's just part of life. Like, some of us struggle more than others. Some of us can find those things, and some people can't. And it's just really, me talking about it probably doesn't help, or any of us talking about it. But we can talk about it, which we are, and hopefully, I hope you are okay. And I think just keep doing what you're doing, dude. Like,
yeah,
the radio thing, like, nobody, like, who like, the fact that you go out of your way to do it is cool in itself. Like, even if it doesn't blow up, it's like, it's still something to look back on in the future and be like, hey, I did that, and it was cool. And I interviewed this band Adams that played MetLife Stadium, and it was pretty cool. I mean, always just, that would be sick. But I don't think that what you're doing. I mean, I'm not saying you are saying it, but don't think that what you're doing is pointless because it's cool. I think it's cool at least. I think you should keep doing it, even if your numbers or people aren't here. Like, just keep going. Like, I've seen people on YouTube and stuff. They go do YouTube videos. I've seen them posting and they get nothing, and then eventually at some point something happens, and that's it. So
yeah,
just keep doing your thing. You'll be good.
I don't think there will be much that will turn me off of doing radio. I could say, especially from the last time we talked to now, like, you guys grown a lot, but I grew like a lot from that point. I became a very, I don't want to say, it sounds like I'm just being egotistical, but like I did grow a lot in the radio space. I'm a very known DJ, and a lot of new supporters definitely since I started my own product. And I plan to, I plan to continue doing radio forever, but I also plan to like push it into like something into like music. Like, my goal in the future is to have like a label and like a promotion team and all that stuff, and that's very hard to reach, but if I just keep working at it and make the right connections along the way, I feel like it can happen.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
So let's see here. I'm gonna move past this topic. We got on this one for a little bit. My fault. That was
the thing with us is, like, we actually, I feel like me and Joe enjoy talking about not ourselves.
Yeah, I'd rather, to be honest, I'd keep going.
We're not very, like, we know why we're here, but we're not those guys who, like, want to just talk about ourselves. Like, we're very just, like, you know, you are our interviewer, but we also want to get to know you too. And like, it's kind of like you're like, oh, how's your day going? It's like, and we're like, yeah, it's good. And then like we don't say, hey, how's your day going?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's like it has to be like that. And I think me and Joe we're very like, we're not very self-centered, so we're always like very open to hearing and talking about stuff. We're just having conversations. So
Yeah.
no worries, dude. No worries.
Of course. Yeah, I guess that's the interview module I try to go down as well. Like I don't know. I just feel like being very plain and robotic and just asking questions the whole time, just like down a list. I feel like it can get boring to do. That's why I like to just hear some insights. You know, that I got into a interview last year with this one band, and we had like a 30-minute conversation about fishing. Had nothing to do with music. Had nothing to do with radio. Like. That's like the best types of interviews for me personally. It's just like talking to people and just getting to hear about themselves and things they're interested into and all the other stuff. And just, you know, insights on, or rather outlooks on life, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
But the question I have here next is, from your very first release, like your very first song release to your latest release, what is something you can say you've learned in the process of that? That could be just anything in general. It could be music creation, promotion, anything.
I mean, we learned, I think, like, a lot. I don't even know like where to start. We've learned a lot. I think we learned a lot even before we released our first single. I think we learned, not both of it, but we learned even before we released our first song. The reason why our first song came out and did well is because we paid attention and, you know, we had good people on the team within the band, which is the band, obviously. Shout out to our old bassist, Noor, who set us on the right path. And I think if he wasn't there, I don't know if it would have done as well, or we would have, you know, kicked it off the way we did. Mm-hmm. But there's not really necessarily, I think, anything in particular. I think we've just learned the mechanics of everything, how everything works. There's no specific answer, I think, for me, at least, to this. It's just, there's so many aspects, there's too much knowledge that personally, and I know Koza too, we've absorbed so much knowledge within these last 4 years. It's like, I don't even know where to start. But we're going to keep learning.
Yeah.
That's all I can really
say. I would say if anybody's listening, because I have the same answer, but I think I do have one thing I could tell you that will sound incredibly cliche, but I've learned as I get older that cliches are cliches for a reason. I would say to, you know, if you're working on something, like we're working on this band or, you know, anything in your life, whether it's a job or a passion project, whatever, is to never overthink what you're doing, to think or talk yourself out of something. And I've really learned to trust if you think that you're onto something to continue, because just speaking from personal experience, that, you know, I've played in other bands in the past where, you know, you think you're onto something and you know, I've been touring and I've gone around the country and done all this stuff, and then that, for various reasons, you know, relationships soured and had to make a pivot. And, you know, a lot of people, and I'm not to pat myself on the back, but it was like, you know, if you have a feeling with intuition, like, you know, because I easily could have said, you know, music's done for me, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Maybe I'm not cut out for it. All these things that you tell yourself along the way, just to, you know, trust that if you have a feeling that something's going to work, or, you know, that you feel like you have something left in you, to just trust that voice, because I never would have imagined that, you know, at the end of just a couple years later, we're talking about being signed to In Vogue and working with the Thriller team and all this stuff. It's really amazing, just because what we're doing on paper is a little insane, saying like, yeah, we're in a metal band and we're going to try to make it our livelihood. It's like, that's the classic story that you don't want to tell your girlfriend's parents. Like, yeah, I play drums in a band, and it's like everybody looks at each other like, yeah, but like what? And, you know, to say that, you know, you look back at the numbers from when we started and you see the graph go up slowly, and it had some dips along the way, and that's when people are like, you might second guess yourself, like, what am I doing here? Or, whatever the case may be. And if you stick it out long enough, man, like, we've by no means made it, quote unquote, whatever that means now, but you just look back on everything you've learned as a whole, and you just learn to trust yourself and just be like, even on the bad days, like we were talking about before, even the days I don't feel like getting up and showing up, there's still something you could do to move the needle a little bit. And this, I'm talking beyond just being in a band. I'm talking, like, again, anything. Like, that's the biggest thing I think this band has taught me. Like, hey, if I could do this, what else can I do in my life? And just trusting that voice and knowing if you want to go for something and just do it, because time is very limited for all of us. So if you're not doing that, I don't really know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree. I think that all of us subconsciously push to do what we want to do, and I think that's what we like. That's at least when I write. I think when I'm writing music, lyric specifically, I always like to just, it's kind of like the human condition where, like, we're all getting up, we're all doing our thing, we're doing something, we're dealing with problems, we're dealing with, relationships, we're dealing with all these things, but we always just keep going. And I think that's important. That's kind of like, I guess that's just like, that's important. And I guess I'm just touching on what Quizzy said, but yeah, I think that's just overall as a band for us, that's something that we all experience, and we all, obviously not just us, but I think every human being on this planet does. We all get up and, like Quizzy said, move the needle. Like, we want to get to where we want to go, regardless of where that place is. If it's dumb to another person, or if it's important to the person itself, or important to other people, it's like, that's just how it is. And I guess more or less that's kind of what the band, us as ourselves, we acknowledge and we want to express. I think it's a weird, beautiful thing that we all are depressed and upset and sad and are happy, but we all get up and we just move on with our day. And I think that's like cool. Like, I think that's a reason to like believe in humanity, even though sometimes I know it's hard to do that.
Yeah. With In Vogue, sorry to cut you off. With In Vogue, though, I've heard of them. I think it was like about a year or so before you guys signed to them. So when I saw you signed to In Vogue, I was like, holy shit, that is huge. Because they had there's another band I like that used to be with In Vogue a while back. It was The Plot and You.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're really they're really good at building up artists and everything else. And I'm not going to leak the PR person I was speaking to, but she was very nice, very easy to work with as well. The first ever time in my entire DJing history I spoke to a PR representative, and I did not get short-sticked at the end. Every time I talk to management and PR people, it's always like, yeah, well, we can do an interview. I'm like, all right, cool. Here's the date, here's this, okay. And I'm like, all right, cool, here we go. Just messaged me back then, and I messaged them back, and it just goes flat. So.
Yeah, no. I mean, she's great. She's great, and I mean, the label in general is great. So we're very happy with the decision to sign with them, and I'm glad that you had a happy experience with our PR lady. She's super cool. So.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that.
It's awesome, man. That's something I appreciate from her. So I don't know if she's listening, but if you next time you do talk to her, though, let her know that she does a great job doing what she does. She got me on a mailing list as well, so that's something I really appreciate, because getting new music in is like a big priority for me, especially now running a station. So I always need music for the auto, always need music to play during the shows, and there's never enough music, in my opinion.
Yeah, we feel the same. And then again, too, not to keep harping on what we were saying, but we're talking about how conversations always, might not go where you want them to go, but you finally got that answer. So use that as fuel to keep going. Sometimes you just need the one yes, and then that pushes you into a whole new category, because now you're on a mailing list and you're going to get hit up about talking to other bands, I'm sure. Use it as an opportunity to to build, and that's what we've done too. Just to, everything's always full circle, but it's like, there's been points in our short career, I guess you would call it, where things were not looking so positive. Like, just to be real, and it's like, what are we gonna, we're waiting on this thing, or this isn't doing what we thought, and then you figure out how to pivot, and then you wait for the next up, and then you just try to ride the up as long as you can. So, yeah, man, I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
It worked out for you, and I'm glad we're talking again.
Of course. I have another pretty good sized interview coming up. I don't know, this is a long shot. Do you know the band GFM?
I do, actually. Is it the group, is it full of, I think it's all girls, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because funny story, I was in a band that used to, the last band I was talking about, we went on a tour with Fozzy, Chris Jericho's band, and I think they did the tour after us, so that's where I saw that name. It's so random. I don't think I've ever heard that name anywhere else, but it's like a blast from the past moment when you said it. That's cool, man. Really cool.
Her name is Magdalene Rose. She went on like a solo career, and I'm gonna be talking to her. No hammered out date yet. You guys I have so many interviews in the queues, but you guys were the only ones who came back to me with a date. So I was like, all right, well, first come, first serve.
Yeah, we were excited to jump back on.
Awesome, man. But I got one more question for you. I know it's been a little bit long. I don't mean to cut too much into your time, but the last question I have for you here is, actually, wait, I don't have any more. Oh, no, I do. Okay. I went out of order. My fault. It's do you have any new songs in the works, and when can we expect some new releases?
Sorry, we don't know who's gonna answer because they're on the phone.
I don't know how I should go about it. I mean, very soon. What's today?
14th.
Yeah, very, very soon, as in a certain.
And like within a certain amount of time, as in very close. Yeah, so sooner than later. But the music will be coming out consistently from here on out for the remainder of the year. So, just yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple songs that are completely done, and then moving into next year, we have, like we were saying earlier, just songs that are in the works. Some are more completed than others, but like we've taken, again, throughout the time we've been putting music out, there's been some gaps just as we gather ourselves and go through the planning and everything. But from here on out, if all goes according to plan, fingers crossed, everything is consistent, and you'll be hearing a lot from us. So
awesome.
Definitely be on the lookout for it.
Yeah. The thing is, Never Game Over, when that came out, that kind of slipped underneath my nose. I didn't even know it came out till I think it was like 2 weeks later. And so I've been definitely like looking through a lot of the pages of artists and everything else just to keep trying to see what's coming out. And then I think I don't know who was talking to me exactly on Facebook. It was from the Advent's Facebook, but
Probably me.
yeah, but on my birthday, you guys released Liminal. And actually, I found it really cool. You guys said happy birthday to me as well. I really appreciated that.
Oh, yeah, that was me. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Yeah, no, that's always cool to hear. Like, you always are super responsive and super into what we're doing, and I don't think it goes unnoticed. Like, it definitely means a lot to us, and it gives us, again, for those days that aren't so good especially, it gives us some added fuel to keep going, so thank you.
Of course, man, no problem. The other thing I want to touch on, I feel like I've been asking for this a lot, my fault. The shout out ID. I don't know if you got that finished or not. If you did,
dude, I'm the worst. I will get that to you. You know what's funny? I'll have these moments where I'm like in the shower or doing something else, like the dishes, whatever, and it'll randomly, like things like that will randomly pop in my head. Like, I need to email this person, or I need to do the sound ID, and then it just leaves when I'm done with that task. So I will definitely get that to you. My apologies for that. I've made you wait way too long.
Yeah, my apologies. I feel like I've asked too many times as well. Because, like, I don't want to...
Dude, you don't have to apologize. I'm the one not sending it, so I will get that over to you by the end of the weekend. But hold me to that.
All right. I'll hit you up Monday if I don't get it. Is that cool?
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
man. It's just I like those little IDs for like radio stations and stuff because I don't know. It's a little bit of a flex for one, but then for two, it's just cool to have something like that go with the song. And I play you guys pretty frequently, I would say too. So it would get the ID itself would get used a lot.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, that'll definitely be over to you by the end of the weekend.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. But that runs out of the questions I have for you guys. But if you would like to say anything right now before we end the interview, the floor is completely yours.
It was hot ones. You're gonna be like, is there to the camera right there. Tell me you got one up. For that. Sorry.
Nah.
That is true.
That's what it felt like. It felt like that in the second. I guess I don't know. Just keep on the radar. Follow us on Spotify and stay tuned for more music because we are cooking some good in the studio. I think what we have coming up is pretty good. And stick around because I think it will be part of the ride. I'd say. Follow on Spotify. I don't know. I don't say.
Yeah, everything's updated pretty regularly, but Instagram is usually the best place to get stuff first. We also have a mailing list that we may or may not be sending songs to early before they come out. So if you want to DM your email address to us or just get it to us somehow, we'll add you to that. Yeah, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever you're listening to music, there will be new stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very soon.
You guys will also be in MetLife Stadium next year. You forgot to leave that one out. You left that one out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Visit Instagram and get the ticket link.
Come on, actually, wait, hold on a second. I'm actually kind of insulted. Next year, bro, give us like 3 more months. We'll be at MetLife.
All right.
Is it 3 more months next year?
Yeah, 3 more months. Wait, that is next year, right? Or is that December?
Catch us in the snow in January at MetLife. Make you snow angels.
Hey, I mean, whatever works for you. I'll be there. Hold me to that. Like I said, MetLife, I'll be there. If you're ever local, I'm not saying like literally like right down the street, but just in the state, let me know. I will try to do my best to attend. I'm still 0 for 0 with going to concerts. I was supposed to go to like 2 or 3 this year, and there's just been last second things that just pop up. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen any more times. Something pops up.
Yeah, it's tough scheduling wise and whatever. I think we're checking out some shows in the area soon. Like we should be at Alpha Wolf and Dayseeker in Brooklyn. I think a few of us are checking that out. So if you head out to any shows in the area, you'll probably see us bouncing around.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I do want to thank you guys for coming on here tonight. I really do appreciate it. I think the interview went okay. I was kind of hard on myself before. I thought I was gonna like bomb it, but
no, dude, you're good. Don't second guess. Just go for it.
Of course, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. Once again, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Go stream their music, everybody who's tuned in, because this will also be on YouTube as well. Go stream their music, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, anywhere. Great band. And I think that's a good way to conclude it.
Yes, sir.